And could you, just for other people on the call, how would you define the unity movement?
Okay. The unity, yeah, and that's good. The unity movement is a spiritual community of unconditional love that practices, we like to say, practical spiritual principles based on the teachings of Jesus Christ. And the practical spirituality is really what they are talking about, is the things that Jesus talks about in the Bible, or the miracles he did, or the Bible itself. How is that practical? How can that be applied in our everyday life for our highest and best benefit? And so they're saying that we are spiritual beings, like I said before, and therefore we are anything is possible. And there's 5 unity principles. Basically what it's based on is, number 1, is believing the omnipresence of the all, that is the source energy. The presence is in all, is around us, in us, and all around us. So the presence of the creative force. And the second principle is that really that presence, we need to be reminded that that presence is in us as well. And we, in Unity Movement, they call it the Christ presence, but that presence is in us. And the third unity principle is that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And this is what we're going to talk about in spiritual healing, which is so appropriate, because it's our consciousness, it's our thoughts that create our reality. And so that what we think, thoughts are things. So unity is very careful to point out that what you think is what you're manifesting. What you think is what you're creating, you're co-creating. So it's very important. And also, how do we stay in touch with the creative force, with that Christ presence within it? It's through prayer and meditation. And then the fifth principle is, armed with this understanding, we are to go out and serve others and do good works and help. So that's basically what unity is founded on. And we like to say practical Christianity.
Okay.
Okay? So, Myrtle Fillmore, in the late 1800s, I think it was around 1885, 86, something like that, and she had tuberculosis. And back then, tuberculosis was, they didn't have a cure for it. It was basically incurable. And she had gone to a New Thought meeting, and they were talking about some of the things that we just mentioned, about the truth of our spiritual being, and that truth being health and wholeness. That in fact, what we're manifesting in the physical is not our truth. Our truth is wholeness and perfection in the spiritual realm. It's just that something has gone awry and has affected us negatively in the physical, but in essence, our truth is our health and our wholeness. Mm-hmm. And this meeting allowed her for this realization. She left the meeting and she went, wow, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. She kept saying this over and over. I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. That meeting and the repeating that phrase allowed her to become aware. She saw her truth. She saw her spiritual truth. And that's the truth that I just mentioned, the truth of her wholeness, her completeness. That is what she really was in her spiritual energy. And like we said, we're spirit before we are physical. And she said, okay. She went home, and she began to sit for hours a day, and she had a chair next to her. She envisioned Jesus was there with her. And she started talking to her body, and she started to forgive her. She offered forgiveness to her body, and she first started off forgiving her body for, like her liver or her lungs. Like, just forgive me for thinking you're less than. Forgive me for thinking that you're no good, that you're sick, that you're bad, because I really know your truth is health. So she asked for forgiveness. She went through every part of her body, and she saw the health. She saw the perfection. That's what she concentrated on. She did this for hours a day. She did this for 2 years, y'all. 2 years, and she cured herself of tuberculosis. But she concentrated, she recognized down to the cellular level her innate spiritual perfection, and that's what was manifested. What we think about manifests. What we put our mind on and our consciousness manifests. So
reminds me of that quote. I'm not sure who said it, but whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Just the power of the mind to influence what we can achieve.
It's absolutely huge. I mean, it's absolutely huge. And I think in this work, and the reason I'm really excited to do this work at this time, because we have science that really validates what we're talking about. Like you just said, if you think it's true. I mean, if you think it's true, it is. Because, in fact, we are creating, our consciousness is creating. And the reason I said, I like to, at this time is because science is backing us up. Quantum physics tells us that, so let's say quantum physics in the 40s, they were doing lots of experiments, and they were trying to figure out light. Okay, light, you shine it through a little hole onto a photographic plate. Light can show up as a wave, which is energy, or a particle, which is mass. So they have this light, and it's going up. Either it's a wave or it's a particle. It's mass or it's energy. So they're going, what's causing this? In other words, if they could figure this out, they were looking for the secret of creation. What's causing things to manifest? What's causing mass? What's causing the formation of mass, the particle? They kept doing many, many experiments. Finally, they discovered, guess what? The experiment, the outcome of the experiment was determined by that of the person doing the experiment. It was based on their perception of what would be the outcome. In other words, the consciousness of the person doing the experiment was influencing the outcome. Thus, saying that our consciousness is huge. Our consciousness, we are co-creating. Our consciousness is creating our reality.